Angry MGTOW here, and women don't know how to be women anymore. Women don't know how to be women anymore. They don't know how to be women anymore because their feminist mothers of past never taught them that. In a conversation that I had with Based Mama, she made some excellent points that when she decided to abandon her feminist ways, she had to literally go back to the 1800s to find out what their traditional gender roles were and what they had to offer men, because women don't know what to offer men anymore. Companionship, loyalty, making sure that when a man gets home is his castle and that he doesn't have to put up with any more bullshit that the rest of the world is throwing at him. Women don't know these things. It doesn't come to them. It really shows how the female brain works, that they have to be taught these things. Women have to be taught how to love. I've always argued that when it comes down to love, cherishing, when it comes down to the concept of love, romance, interpersonal relationships, love is something that a man teaches to a woman, not the other way around. While a woman's natural instincts are to nurture, in this modern day age, women have been literally conditioned to simply consume. It's your right to go out, earn your own money, or to have the government give you money, which is reallocated for men, and then to consume as much as you want. And by the way, I'm going to be vaping while I make this video. And as a result of that, modern day women literally have nothing of value to offer men anymore. They have nothing to offer men because they were never taught any of these things. And it makes sense because if you look at how modern day men behave, modern day men don't know how to be men anymore. They don't know how to stand up to themselves. They don't know how to stand up to women. So how the hell would they know actually how to stand up for women? Feminism has literally wreaked havoc on society, and it will take many generations to actually correct things, if they can actually be corrected at all. The very same people who are saying that things are going to be okay are the ones who put us in this very mess. Even women such as Christina Hofstammer's, the practical feminist, or whatever, the factual feminist, let me correct myself. Even Christina Hofstammer's doesn't know how to be a woman. Doesn't know anything about feminist mystique. She will talk about the fact that feminism has essentially damaged the relationship between men and women and has run amok on society, but don't get us any wrong. She still believes in the very tenets of feminism, of women having equal representation, of women having the right to vote, of women having the privileges that they received. What she doesn't like is the nastiness that feminism has fallen into. So in that reality, she is still a feminist. She still believes many of those same feminist ideals in her. She hasn't really changed her message. She just realizes that feminism has gone so far that now women are on the verge of losing everything that they gained. You think I'm joking, but I'm absolutely not. People would naturally want to blame Donald Trump when entitlements completely vanished, when in reality, we were spending so much that we literally weren't keeping track of anything. The problem is also the solution. Spend your way out of the problem. We're running out of money. Well, just print more. But if we print more, don't worry about that. Don't worry about where money comes from. It grows on trees. It's made of paper. Feminist women in general don't understand logic and rationality. These are the tenets of men. These are things that have to be taught to women. Logic, on the other hand, cognitive logic, is something that boys begin to develop at an early age. You can watch when they're using building blocks. They deviate to building blocks and they begin learning how to stack those blocks. They begin seeing how all the pieces fit together and how things line up. While women little girls deviate to things that are interpersonal, talking amongst themselves, playing house, chit-chatting. Again, these are things that little girls do. They have very little interest in being little boys, but society is now trying to tell them, hey, nope, you can be just as much of a boy as any of the boys because gender is in the brain, it's not in the genitals. Don't forget that we're entering a society now where they're literally fighting, the liberals are fighting, so that on a birth certificate a gender is no longer assigned. And the child will simply decide what gender they want to be when they grow up, or what gender they want to be on any given day. Non-binary genders are pretty interesting, because when you're non-binary, you're choosing not to identify as anything, meaning that your gender identity can change on a daily basis. Today you can be a boy, tomorrow you can be a girl. Today you can use the men's restroom, tomorrow you can use the women's. Or how about we don't even have a men's or women's bathroom at all? We have a non-binary bathroom, where everyone just goes and pees and poops all together. But let's not forget that those who are born with biological male organs will technically still have violent tendencies, so those have to be conditioned out of them. It's funny how they strive for equality but then argue that men are not equal to women because they're still not biologically women, so they need to be watched and scrutinized to completely get all the male ick off of them. Feminism is not about equality. It's always been about division. Divide and conquer. That's the notion of feminism. It's interesting that feminism was started by a group of narcissistic, angry women and then hijacked by the government, who used these women to destroy society. And it's funny how women, their cannibal lust to consume was simply taken advantage of when the government popped up in the 1950s and 60s and said, hey, we're going to give you all this money. You can have your own house. We'll give you money. We'll even help you take care of your kids, but you can't have a man in the house. And women took it hook, line, and sinker, thinking that it was going to make their lives better, when in reality it just fucked up their lives in ways they never foresaw. The modern generation of millennial women will not have any of the benefits that previous generations had. They won't have the social welfare programs that previous generations could rely upon. It's very interesting, but statistically speaking, women actually use more resources, significantly more resources, than money that they pump into the economy. Only men have a positive value on the economy, while women have a negative value on the economy. Women actually, over the course of their lives, will have a $150,000 negative impact on the economy. Because in reality, only men pay taxes. Some of you are going to say, how is that possible? It makes absolutely no sense. If a man and woman make the same amount of money and pay the same amount of money into taxes, then that means that they're essentially contributing the same amount of money to society. Not correct. Because of social welfare programs, entitlement programs, that money is actually reallocated to women. Women's programs such as health, social, all of these other things are very consuming. So when you consider the programs that are exclusively for women and that women rely upon more than men, in reality, women actually consume so much more resources than men. Not even taking into consideration the fact that women make 85% of all consumer purchases while men pay 85% of all taxes. When you take that into consideration, then you start to see a better picture of the way things actually are. And you realize that in the reality of things, women have become a liability on society. It's men who are the ones who are actually making up for everything. Women don't simply take the lion's share, they take it all. Men are simply left with the scraps and the bits and the pieces. Without men in society, women would have absolutely nothing. You create a society of only women, and you end up with that very best socialism, or should I say communism. Because socialism is essentially a system where there is democracy within it, but you're still reallocating resources to another group. But when you have a group of women who are essentially wanting all those resources reallocated to them, then it's communism. Because for there to be socialism, there has to be a group of people who are contributing more than they're taking. But if everyone's taking the same amount while not contributing higher amounts than others, then what you're going to end up with is communism. And communism is very ugly. Communism always fails. And when the shit hits the fan, when things go to hell, what do women do? They say men come and save us, but this time it won't happen. The government is actively closing down on programs, jobs, everything that women deviate to. Donald Trump has already put a hiring freeze on public sector jobs. The only jobs in the public sector that people can hire for now, can be hired in now, are military, law enforcement, and infrastructure. Basically building roads, bridges, and taking care of the, rebuilding the United States, things along those lines. Military, so that refers to the army, branches of the armed forces, and law enforcement, so state troopers, federal agents, people along those lines. So more or less, those are the only jobs that are going to be on the table. And when the government pulls back on these jobs, so do the states typically. So if the government stops hiring, then the states usually follow that pattern, because government funding is going to be cut as well. Presidents are powerful. So, and we already know that women typically deviate to public sector jobs way more than men. So with that avenue now cut off, we're going to see a great reduction in the number of jobs that women are able to get. At the same time, we're seeing jobs in the cashiers being phased out, in the hospitable markets being phased out. These jobs are being replaced by machines, as women have been demanding more pay for less work. Companies don't actually care about women. If women were such great employees, if women were actually making 77 cents to the dollar of every man, companies would exclusively only hire women. That's not the case. In reality, women want the same pay or more while doing less work. They did a study where they found that when interviewers looked at the faces of men and women, they were more likely to hire the men than women, just based on the names. Let me correct myself. When they looked at the names of candidates to be hired, they were more likely to hire the men just based on the names than the women. So here's something very interesting. Initially, the feminists said that this was sexism. However, keep in mind that this behavior didn't exist only exclusively to men. It also existed among female people. Females chosen to hire other women. Women chosen to hire other women were more biased in their assessment of hiring a woman than a man. Why is that? Because women know that women will not obviously do equal work. A woman stood up at a Donald Trump rally last year in 2016 while he was running for president, or maybe it was a little after, it was one or the other, and she said, will women be paid the same amount as men? And under your administration? And his response was shocking. He said, if she does as good a job, she'll get the same pay. If she does as good a job. Companies don't care about women. They care about politics. Many of these hiring practices that we see in society today are because the government is so left-leaning. But if the government suddenly becomes very lopsided to the right, you'll notice all of these things being pulled back. And the government and companies saying, oh, we're ready to play ball. We'll cut the benefits of women. We'll basically treat women like crap if the government says treat them like crap. If women's rights suddenly become unpopular in society, if women overnight suddenly became detested by the government, it would be perpetuated by every company in America virtually. Even women's organizations would literally and promptly be against women, because that is the social dialect at the moment. You have to understand that feminism has never been about equality. It's been about a specific group of people taking advantage of the majority for their own personal self-gain. Feminism is cancer. And there's a lot of women who sat by and allowed it to happen as it was destroying the lives of men, and now it's coming back to haunt them twofold. I've said that what we're looking at is going to be equivalent to something like the Great Depression, but it's only going to impact women. There will be manginas, many of them who fall, but women are going to be hurt significantly, more prominently than they've been hurt in any generation. And I also believe they'll be hurt more than men because of their consumer ways. They're going to have a hard time rationalizing and prioritizing what it means to survive. For example, a man only has a small amount of resources. When I was homeless, there were times when I had maybe $10 to my name, if not less. With that $10, I would quickly prioritize what I would do. I would make sure that I would acquire water, the cheapest foods I can possibly acquire that would be as nourishing, and also make sure that I had clothing and whatever else I could, meaning I would visit a thrift store and pick up clothing, a shirt, whatever, underwear, whatever I could acquire. I basically took care of the immediate tenants to ensure that I had some chance at survival on the streets. All with $10. Women, on the other hand, would take $10 and go buy some cigarettes. Go buy a drink. Buy something luxurious. It doesn't really matter. And then basically sit around and hoping that someone will come along and save them. For men have always realized that we have to save ourselves. It's only God and us in this world. That's it. We are born in this world, and we will die in this world. I believe that we are born with God and we will die with God, but that is me. Women, on the other hand, they come into this world thinking that everyone owes them something, including other women. And they are going to be sadly mistaken when they discover that no such thing exists. Women have destroyed the lives of men, and they did it with a smile on their faces, and now it's all coming back to them twofold. And I want to know what you guys think in the comment section if you agree that women have created the devastation that is about to befall them. I also want to remind you guys that I make 3 of these videos every day, plus bonus videos, so please consider leaving a donation via my Patreon by clicking on the Patreon link on my YouTube homepage, or you can find a link to it in the description of this video as well. I have all these great benefits on the Patreon page that include bonus videos, monthly hangouts, Skype calls, one-on-one Skype calls, wallpapers, Angry MGTOW t-shirts. I mean, there's tons of great things on there. You can become a Patreon for as little as $5, and you can pledge even using PayPal or a credit card. It has a bunch of great payment options. So please consider using Patreon instead of PayPal, because it creates a commitment to help sponsoring my work and ensuring that I can continue putting out great quality content for you guys on a regular monthly basis, on a regular daily basis. So definitely please check out my Patreon, and you can become a Patreon for as little as $5 a month, and there's all these amazing rewards, including bonus videos and tons of other stuff on my Patreon. Also, never miss another Angry MGTOW video by clicking on the notification button below every video. It's next to the subscribe button. When you click on it, you'll see a pop-up that says send me all notifications for this channel. Just check the box, hit save. If you've already done it, you don't have to do it again, and this will ensure you always receive a notification whenever I put out a new video or whenever I'm live streaming. So let me know if you agree that women created the mess that we're in today. They created the perfect storm of crap, and they're going to have to lay in the poop that they've made. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you liked the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MGTOW or death. And cheers!